Ever since his parents' death, Bruce has been quite contained with his emotions. Although seeing this horrific sight in front of him, he cannot help but scream out in pain. He reawakens to the legendary Super Saiyan transformation. Glowing golden hair, although this time no aura. Rather, it's replaced with black lightning, showing not only the hate, rage, and malice inside of his heart, but also an incredible leap in power. He's stronger than anything this universe has seen thus far, and his power continues to grow. Halfway across the world, in the Fortress of Solitude, Clark and Kara Zor-El both feel the immense power, and immediately rush out to see what's going on. Neither of them had great key sensing abilities. They never needed to learn key control. It would have been terribly difficult, seeing as they had no sort of a natural affinity. Plus, they already majorly outclassed pretty much anybody they went up against with their Kryptonian powers. And because of the intensity of the power that they feel in the distance, Clark tells Kara to go gather the rest of the League, before putting on his Superman suit and then leaving to confront Bruce. Both parties knew this day would eventually come. It's like the passing of night and day, although what happens when the dark night chooses not to fall to the sun? Well, you get a damn fine show, and that's exactly what's happening here. Clark would confront Bruce and ask what's going on, why is he exhibiting this much power, and also how did he even obtain this strength? It has an inherently evil glow to it, and that stands against everything that Batman, well, stands for. But Bruce explains, his son was taken from him. He was killed by the Joker, and now Batman is going to get his revenge. No matter who tries to stop him, nobody is getting in his way. Not the League, not Gotham, not anybody. Not even his code will stop him from finishing the job he should have years ago. Joker's body will hit the floor, although separate from his head. And even though Superman understands his anger, he tells Bruce that he needs to calm down. They can figure this out. They can stop the Joker, but without this needless violence. Murder is not an option here. They can't stoop to the same level as the Joker. Otherwise, they're no better than him. But Batman tells him to shut his mouth. What if it was Lois who was killed instead? Would anybody be able to stop him? Stop the invincible Superman from going after the one who killed his beloved wife? What of his mother? His father? Where does Clark draw the line? How many of Clark's loved ones need to die before he realizes that Bruce is right, and that they should drag the Clown Prince of Crime back down to the very hell he spawned from? Although before he's able to finish this remark, Clark launches in for an attack, hitting him clean on the cheek, although it does nothing. A vicious and emotion-filled brawl would ensue, although given the result of the first punch, it's obvious who the victor will be. A Saiyan's incredible power comes from surpassing their limits, and currently Batman is doing that every single second the fight goes on. Whereas Superman is staying stagnant in his strength, Batman is increasing every moment the fight continues. Pair that with the fact that Bruce already had an advantage when the fight began, well, it's not looking so good for the Man of Steel. That is until his cousin Kara arrives. The aptly named Supergirl couldn't get in contact with the rest of the Justice League. None of them were answering her calls, and were most likely busy with their own things. Or probably just sleeping off a massive hangover from the night before. Either way, they were unresponsive, and the only two heroes left to fight back against Bruce's incredible might are the Kryptonian pair. Although Kara is by far the stronger of the duo, as even though she couldn't get in contact with the rest of the Justice League, she did still have some time while the other two were fighting. So she went into outer space and gathered as much solar energy as she possibly could. This in tandem with the fact that Bruce has limited to no control over the Super Saiyan 2 form since he just acquired it, as well as its predecessor the day before, Batman is actually on a bit of a back foot here, although this all changes when the fight takes a terrifying turn for the worst, as Bruce pulls out of his back pocket the very same lantern ring he used against Frieza. Kal-El would attempt to destroy the ring with his laser eyes before Bruce is able to put it on. However, he's unsuccessful, in part because the ring was also evolving with Bruce. He might not have had it on, but it was definitely seeing the consequences of Bruce's transformation. The Super Saiyan is a warrior born of rage. There was no fear in the area, as Bruce was certain of what he was going to do, and nothing was going to hold him back, especially not fear. So the Lantern Ring, having no emotion to cling onto, instead shifted to the much more powerful force, that of anger. The yellow-golden hue of the ring would slowly shift to a crimson blood aura, as Batman puts on the ring as the black lightning slowly spreads across his entire body, cracking out red as then it explodes outward, the cocoon shattering into a million pieces and scattering out like the shrapnel from a grenade. Both Kal-El and Kara would be affected, being hit by numerous pieces, although they were far less fazed by that than they were of the transformation that Bruce would take on. His power is beyond comprehension, even if his appearance isn't too dissimilar to what it was before. They would attempt to fight back, although it was futile. Bruce would create a construct out of red energy before then surrounding the two Kryptonians with it. It was similar to a cage. He would encase them and there was nothing they could do to escape. His energy was that ruthless and powerful that not even their full might could break through a fraction of it. Kal-El would call out, asking what Bruce plans to do as he turns the back to the two of them. "Where does this end, Bruce? You killed the Joker. Sure, he deserves it. But what next? Lex over in Metropolis? The Rogues in Central City? But what about when Barry tries to stop you? The man who can think at a mile a minute has decided that killing people isn't okay. And at one point, I thought you believed that too."
I did, until the monsters that you are currently defending took my son from me. But no, I'm not going to go after Lex or the Rogues. Joker is where this ends.
He says this before then suddenly shooting the cage up out of the cave as it begins barreling not only through solid ground, but also through Wayne Manor. It then rockets out of the atmosphere and into open space.
I'm counting on you two to stop me when this is over, but I can't let him survive.
Then suddenly Bruce rockets off himself, this time flying to the lookout, talking with Kami and telling him he needs to find a certain man. Although, for whatever reason, Bruce couldn't find it. Kami was masking its location as well as constantly moving it around. That way, Batman couldn't find it, as the Guardian wanted no part in his revenge. Although this wouldn't serve to delay it any, as he would suddenly sense a large drop-in key in the Gotham area. A large amount of people just suddenly died. Bruce would immediately arrive to the area and enter what seems to be a very large cinema.
That sick bastard. How does he even know about that night?
He enters the theater and sees a trail of blood leading to the side entrance or possible exit of the theater. He heads out the same way he came in, not wanting to play into this sick joke as he already knows the punchline. He then arrives in Crime Alley and looks around, before suddenly then, he spots the Joker. Or at least, what's left of him. He sits there near lifeless with a shotgun wound straight to the chest.
The funniest part, Bats, this wasn't even my plan.
No, you don't get to do this. Not now.
My dearest apologies, Master Bruce, but this was not his doing. After everything he took from you, I would not allow this to continue any further.
Alfred, what did you do?
You are heading down a dangerous path. I promised your parents I would protect you from any danger. That includes yourself. Now you've seen what happens when you lose control. What this clown did was unforgivable, although what it made you become was almost as bad. Your little spat with those Kryptonians only moments ago could have destroyed the entire planet. You were being careless, your judgment was clouded, and I would appreciate if you could ensure that doesn't happen again. Now, if you could be a dear and help me dispose of this body, we have a funeral to plan. There's been a death in the family after all.